Let it rain. To whom it may concern. So long they taken us for fools. No laws, they broken all the rules. To be slaves, they educate, while them take another life and a celebrate. Human sacrifice, they dedicate us. Still we humble and a meditate us. Yahweh is gonna liberate us, and Lucifer will get eliminated. Place the fire Babylon.
Welcome to Music Connect Africa, the hub for global music industry news and insights. Each episode, we take a look into the history of our entrepreneurial professionals who are the driving force behind the scenes. It gives me great pleasure to highlight the players who exercise tenacity, drive, and whom create smooth operative systems for our music arts and entertainment industries. In this week's edition, we highlight the journey of two-time Grammy-nominated songwriter, producer, recording artist Elishua.
They remove the chains from round our necks and put it on our minds, and tell us about the powers of the nickel and the dime. And so we keep on working for a change. Still can't make a change. So much progress in a system that's the same old way. Half a blaze, the fire Babylon sing.
Excellent music production is an intricate form that requires a unique set of technical and creative skills. And there are certain personality traits and attributes that make a great producer. Where creativity allows a great music producer to constantly explore new ideas and sounds, such as experimenting with different techniques, pushing boundaries is an enhanced form of excellence that promotes the zone of music production eloquence. And then there's the art of songwriting, and to be able to complete an exceptional masterpiece, a musical art form that is vital to every musician, and end production that formulates the right songs for a musician and that are of original content and structure can be a struggle in today's music market.
They break, people awake. Yeah, me say fi blaze the fire Babylon sing quick. Awake, my people from the sinking ship that enslave the minds of a billion souls. They break, people awake. Yeah, yeah.
Elishua's excellence is unmatched and a standout amongst the societal norm. He doesn't confine himself to any specific genre of music. His catalog of unreleased production contains a mixture of pop, Afro-pop, reggae, trap, dancehall, and acoustic recordings. Confirmation of his humble upbringing that the most internationally famous of Caribbean music, that is reggae music, tremendously played a pivotal role in the underlying relevant productions of his overall art form. Born in Montego Bay, St. James, Jamaica, Jerome Campbell, aka Elishua, started singing at the tender age of 15 years old in the group setting. He spent much of his earlier years singing on the hotel circuit on the north coast of the island.
They taken us for fools. No laws, they broken all the rules. To be slaves, they educate, while them take another life and a celebrate. Human sacrifice, they dedicate us. Still we humble and a meditate us. Yahweh is gonna liberate us, and Lucifer will get eliminated. Blaze the fire Babylon sing quick. Awake, my people from the...
Today, we will delve into the brilliant art form of his musical artistry. Elishua's talent has afforded him exceptional expertise as a talented singer, songwriter, producer, studio engineer, and a multi-instrumentalist. Years where he spent time writing and co-producing under the tutelage of the legendary music producer Clive Hunt. His creative production credits exist with artists such as the gifted songbird Etana, Queen Ifrica, Yanis Adua, Tifa, amongst many others. Today we will delve into the brilliant art form of his musical relevancy, the heights of his illustrious career, sharing and highlighting some of his music works from inception, as well as his current releases. And we will also visit any struggles to maintain his musical craft within the ever-changing music industry. Welcome, Elishua. Elishua, are you there?
Greetings, and Grand Rising. Greetings.
Yes, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I tell you, I really had to go through your bio, and I must say, the presentation itself, it never sugarcoated, because your accomplishments speak for themselves, I would say. And I think when people talk about accomplishments, they look more towards, having this long titles behind your names. But for myself, especially within music, I look at everything as a whole, the production, the catalog, that I am actually listening to as well. And I mean, every song that I have never listened to a bad Elishua track, because everything that I listen to is a complete work in terms of what I would myself would do as a music producer in terms of your productions. It's very well done, I must say. Before I delve into the interview itself, I think one of the main things is that our artists are tied to the artist name as well. Your born name, Jerome Campbell. However, your artist name, Elishua. Can you tell me a little bit about the name and you deciding to go with that name itself?
Okay, so greetings again to you, Dr. Empress Rose. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I'd like to say all praises unto the highest. We know that we move and breathe because there is energy that is placed in us to do so, and it is not a forced of something. This is unto the highest. The other thing is that the name Yasha, Elishua or Elishua, that name has been a journey. I was born Jerome Campbell. I never loved the name, or I was never connected to the name Jerome from I was a little boy growing up. I've always not liked that name. In fact, I remember growing up in primary school and wishing that I could change my name. And when I asked where did my name come from, my mom told me that my grandmother decided on that name for me because there was a rich man in the community by the name of Jerome. And from that day, I've never liked the name because I thought that it never had any meaning or purpose. Right? It copied somebody else's successes and whatever. So I thought it never had any purpose to me. So from I was a little boy, I've never liked that name. Now, when I was growing up, through divine inspiration, I would say the name Yasha was given unto me. And that name, when you check the meaning of the name, it is the root of salvation. It is the root of uprightness. And that, I think, on my journey, I find that to be upright and to be one that teaches of salvation and in return receiving salvation is most important to me. So that is where the name Yasha came into being. And then as I progressed on the journey, there I came into contact with some teachers, spiritual teachers, people who have always, inspired me. And those people that inspired me at the time gave unto me or rendered the name Elishua unto me. And when I checked the meaning of the name Elishua, it was the same name, it was the same meaning that was divinely inspired. It is the same meaning that Yasha has, which is salvation or eternal salvation. So, I know that it was just confirmation of the name Yasha and Yasha Elishua. So that is where the name came from. It's an inspiration that guides me on my journey. It reminds me of who I am, whose I am, and what my journey is supposed to be about. Yeah.
I love it. Well, within the introduction, I talk about you're starting out at a very tender age of 15 years old. Now, starting out at 15 years old, did you kind of have a sense as to, is it so much more talent, or did you realize right away that, you know what, this is where I belong?
Yes. So what happened was, to be honest with you, the journey started way before 15 years old. I've been doing music from I was a little boy. I recognized that I could sing from about 5 years old. Right?
Yes,
4 or 5 years old, I recognized that I could sing because I used to copy the voices of prominent female singers, like Denise Williams was one of the voices, because my voice was very, very fine and light. It was almost it was a high tenor voice or probably soprano voice when I was a little boy, right? So persons always thought that I was a female when I was a little boy talking because I had this very, distinct feminine voice. So I used to copy all of the top female singers because, I love their tone. And it dawned on me when I was about 4 or 5 years old that, hey, I can really sing, and I started to go everywhere, and I was bold to just come out of the bathroom and put on my clothes and go out in the living room and sing for my aunts and my grandma and my uncles, and I wasn't afraid to do it. So the journey started from there. But then when I went to high school at in seventh grade, I started to realize that I really wanted to do this thing seriously, right? And at that time I was about 12, 13. So I started to go to the recording studio. There was a recording studio in where my bus stop was for me to go to school. There was a recording studio over there and a guy owned a studio by the name of Fingers, right? His studio was named Fingers Production. So I used to leave school, save my lunch money, go over to Fingers and record music and come back over, go back to school. So that is where it actually started. But I think that 15 years old now was when what happened was I because I used to go to the studio so often, Fingers, he recognized that my love for the thing and he took me under his wing. And then he gave me the production software. The software was called Acid Pro. So he gave me the production software and I went home. My mother had convinced my father to buy a computer for me, and he bought a computer for me to do schoolwork, So what I did was I installed Acid Pro. I bought the software from Fingers. I installed it on my computer, and I started to do music schoolwork.
Uh-huh.
I started to record myself, and then I got a thing called Fruity Loop, and I started to build rhythms. And I was about 13, 14, and going up. So at 15 now, I started to get serious and say, okay, I'm going to do music seriously. And I started to call over my friends and produce them and build beats for them and record them. And that was in the age before a lot of persons were ever doing that. Fruity Loop was at Fruity Loop 2 or 3. There was not a lot of that happening in the industry. And independent musician and independent producers was not something that was, so prominent. One in few, and I'm talking about 230 or 2000, 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So early out. So yeah, and that is when I made a serious decision at 15 now to start taking on music and to become a producer and a writer for others. So that is the serious practice when it started. Then I was in a band called Sting of Faith and we started to tour the whole place. It was a gospel band and I was producing rhythms and touring and singing music all over the island. So yeah, that was when the serious part began at 15 years old. Yeah. And I made a decision to take music to another level.
Loving it. Of course, we start out with your track "Wake Up," one of my all-time favorites as well. When anyone says to me, "Yasha, Elishua," I always say, "Well, the guy that sings "Wake Up," because that is my track as well. And this was what interested, this interview here. What can you tell the listening audience about that track?
All right, so that track was done in 2000. Was really created in 2011. Yeah, it was created in 2011, 2010-11. It was created from, I was in fasting and prayer, and I was in isolation at the time. I had taken on what you call a Nazarite vow, and I was in isolation. I was fasting and praying, and it was just a moment of seeking guidance and divine inspiration, divine guidance. And that song, when I realized, because a lot of information, I've garnered a lot of information through the years of my journey, and all of these things were coming back to me, and I was seeing the position that our people are in, the state of our world, and people put terms and names and things like humanitarian, but I have a strong sense, I have a strong emotion. I don't want to call it. Maybe I shouldn't say motherly, but it is this it is this fatherly or this emotion towards people and towards my people and the earth and children. And so when I looked at the earth and I looked at what was happening and what is happening to us, I felt a pain and a hurt inside of me. And that is where this song was birthed from, called Wake Up, because I truly believe that where we are, we need to open our eyes to what is happening around us and how we need to change our mindset, our heart position, so that we can really make a difference in our world. Because the earth, I believe, from what I got from that moment of fasting and that intimate moment of prayer, those moments I got, that the earth is crying and it needs us to be awakened from our slumber so that we can take our rightful place and be the protectors of the earth, as stewards of the earth, to do our original job that was given unto us to do. That's where that song was birthed from, really.
Wow. I'm really loving it. Well, I'm going to jump to the Wake Up track, and we'll be right back with some more questions. Do not go anywhere.
To whom it may concern. So long they taken us for fools. No laws, they broken all the rules. To be slaves, they educate, while them take another life and a celebrate. Human sacrifice, they dedicate us. Still we humble and meditate us. Yahweh is gonna liberate us, and Lucifer will get eliminated. Blaze the fire, Babylon, sing quick. Awake, my people from the sinking ship that enslaved the minds of a billion souls. They break, people awake. Them is every blaze the fire, Babylon, sing quick. Awake, my people from the sinking ship that enslaved the minds of a billion souls. They break, people awake. When they say they're telling you the truth, it's a lie. Remember that the devil always have an alibi. A kingdom that's divided in itself will never strive. So Yahweh's children, that is why they want us to divide. They remove the chains from round our necks and put it on our minds, and tell us about the powers of the nickel and the dime. And so we keep on working for a change, still can't make a change. So much progress in a system that's the same old way. After blaze the fire, Babylon, sing quick. Awake, my people from the sinking
years of the whole production. Where divine inspiration is concerned, sometimes I'll be given one word, and I say be given one word because I think that is something that persons might get. They might not understand when I say be given one word. But sometimes I'll be sitting down and I'll just hear one word in my head. I don't know where it comes from. I wasn't thinking about anything. And from that one word, I'll take 5 minutes and a whole song will be written. And it's not that I wrote the song because I was not thinking about the words. I'm not thinking about the words. I'm just being channeled. It's like I become a channel and the music just comes. And there are other times when I'll hear something, I'll hear a melody, and then my creativity kicks in and I start to build on the melody that I hear. So creativity for me, it's never sitting down and say, "Oh, I'm gonna write a song today," and I have a hard time doing that. I have a hard time trying to direct myself to do music. Like, oh, today I'm gonna sit down, or if I'm producing an album for somebody, or if I'm producing music for somebody, I have to go back into that creative space. I have to go in silence. I have to separate myself. I have to, just empty myself and go into the other person's emotions and feelings, and then I'll be inspired again, and then creativity will come and a song will come. But it is never from a place that I go forth and I'm going to just create and I'm going to write a song, because I've never been able to accomplish much when I do that musically.
It's also interesting to hear other creatives how it is that they actually come up with the material and how they go about their own creations as well. Where a creative has the ability to envision a finished track in their mind and to translate that vision into something tangible is the ultimate form of creation, as you have explained here. It is my belief, though, that today's music is lacking a great deal of creativity. where creativity is much more than coming up with fresh ideas. It's also about problem solving. And I find that great music producers are able to find creative solutions to technical, even technological challenges. And I think it's a huge part of that's a missing factor, coupled with what our ears are being fed on a daily basis. Would you agree?
If I may, yes. If I may, one of the challenges that I believe that persons are having, and one of the issues that cause this lack of creativity, is because persons are too what's the word I'm looking for? Fortunate. If persons have there's too much technology that is at their fingertips. I believe that creativity truly comes from when you're bottlenecked, when you don't have
creating art,
when you don't have all of the resources that you would like to have, but what you have, you're able to use it to the best of your ability to create what you envision. I believe that persons have too much resources at their fingertips, and the more that you gain is the less connected you become for the most part. So I believe that we need to go back to a place where we limit ourselves in order to find ourselves.
And I strongly agree, because I think that's one of the reasons why Africa is thriving in terms of music. And people say, well, musicians from Africa is just rising. No, they have always been there. But the difference is that they have taken music production from the stance that myself and you are speaking about, where it is that they don't have much to work with, but they're able to create quality music without having, everything at their fingertips. That's what a creative is about. Go ahead.
Definitely. And if I may again, because even when I'm producing, I'll sit down with a piano or my instruments, and I'll have a computer or I have a recorder, and I'll scratch things down and I'll just produce out of that. And the situations where the best songs are what I consider the best songs are written are, for instance, this song "Wake Up." I was in a basement with a dirt floor, and I set up 2 speakers in there. This song was done. It was actually created in 2011, recorded and produced in about 2021, 22, right? But the whole idea and the whole vibration was created in 2011 with my mouth producing the beat, and So what I can say to you is that because of the limitation that I had, my creativity was not bottlenecked. No, here's the thing. When you are not depending on an external source or you're not depending on something external for your creativity, it makes your production greater. When you go inside and you're depending on what is inside to bring it out, then you have a better chance of being creative. But if you're depending on something outside of you, like you have technology of all of these things, so then it stops you from seeing who you are, from developing, from coming out of yourself. And this is why I believe that, as you say, Africa, a lot of these young people in Africa, they are inspired, right? Because that is the first thing. They are inspired, they're talented, right? They're gifted, right? And their resources, they come upon something that it's a limited resource, but out of this limited resource, because of their zeal and their talent and the intensity of their zeal, they're finally being able to put out what they have inside of them. But for persons who have a lot of things, because they have so much outside of them, they're trying to use it as a crutch, so they're not creative. I think that is the space that we're in, especially in the Western world now, where music is concerned. Until it comes to the point where I have a friend that is a flautist, and he said, I was speaking to him the other day, and he said to me that he's done with music, and I'm saying, why? And he says that the frequency and the energy of everything that is around him and all that he's hearing, it makes him dislike the musical space now.
I agree. Right? I agree.
Right. And yes.
I didn't mean to cut you. I agree wholeheartedly. I must just didn't want to throw anything about myself and my project, but it's relevant. It's of relevance here. When I created my album, for a week, I'm always, I'm a broadcaster. So of course it is that I have various shows. I have 5 shows and I'm always listening to music. And when I created that album for 1 week, I did not listen to any music at all.
Yeah.
I went in isolation. I fasted and I prayed. I went in isolation, did not listen to no music at all, because I know from a creative standpoint, I do not want to listen to anything that I keep on hearing. I wanted to create something of substance that's new to the ear as well. So yes, you are correct. And for, your friend who took himself away, I understand, because as I said, it's being what you are fed in your ears, that if you keep on listening to what you're being fed in your ears, I find that most of the artists are copying what other artists are doing. And it's okay, that you can copy another artist, but there's too much of it. So it's like the information that's regurgitated, it's like, it's similar. It's similar. Everything is similar. You can't pick up a track and be like, okay, this artist's album is so different. It's on a different spectrum. It's like everybody's that you're listening to is relatively similar in a sense. So I understand, yeah.
You see, one of the things is, because if I should go in a catalog of music, that's an unreleased catalog of music, because I have a lot of music sitting down on, and you would hear some things that they're really out of the box, but emotionally, spiritually, you will be connected to them. But whenever I go in, and this is why I steer away from the music business aspect of things, because and I lean to an independent music platform, because whenever I go with what I have to persons that are industry persons and A&R and whatever, they love what I have. And they're emotionally captivated by what I have.
Mm-hmm.
But they claim they do not know how to market what I have in a lot of the cases. They don't know how to put it in a certain space.
Yes.
It's beautiful, it's excellent, it boggles their mind, but they just don't know how to market it. And this is one of the challenges that we have, because a lot of excellent creative music is being made, but it is not being marketed correctly, Yeah.
On that note, I'm going to jump to one of your other tracks, Africa Calling. We'll be right back with more Elishua.
Mama Africa is calling. I beg you, open up your ears. She says she longs to see her children live in harmony. To her that sight is very precious and rare. Anytime you're feeling low, like you've got nowhere to go, you don't have to be alone. Maybe you can come on home. Like a bird and a bee, every flower, every tree, they all gather round when they hear the joyful sound of nature calling me. Anytime you're feeling low and you've got nowhere to go, you don't have to be alone. Maybe you can come on.
Africa Calling, I tell you, this just emphasizes what what you've just said a few minutes ago in terms of, having great music and labels or big industries do not know what to do with it as well. It speaks volume. Of course, some of the great producers of music have spent countless hours upon hours studying courses and tutorials on music production techniques and software to acquire a fraction of what it is your knowledge is of the industry or your accomplishments thus far. To what would you say you attribute your skillful expertise? Would you say your expertise have been acquired, through knowledge, applying yourself in relevant spaces, and a bit of experience that may have played a pivotal role?
It's a holistic thing. I believe that knowledge plays a very important part.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that my experiences and knowledge comes from your experiences also.
That's true.
My experiences, I've been taught also. I've spent years from about 2014. I've been around Clive Hunt persons, virtuoso musicians and producers like Clive Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around. I knew Clive Hunt was instrumental in Dennis Brown. He was instrumental in the career of Barry Hammond. He was instrumental in the career of Jimmy Cliff. He has produced some of their biggest songs. So I was taught by this man. I was around him every day. I was signed with VP Records and around a lot of top artists, writing, co-writing, producing for a lot of them. Then I left from around Clive and I was around another producer, great producer by the name of Handel Tucker. We talk about Diana King and the Fugees. He was instrumental in their career.
Yes.
I was taught by him also. So being around these persons, the most has allowed me to venture in that area, to be around them, to be taught by them, to watch how they operate, to listen to how they talk and their mistakes and their journey. And I've learned from it, And also the most I placed in me also this creativity and this desire to do music outside of the box. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's divine inspiration, it's knowledge, and it's being taught by those that have been in the business for a very long time.
Of course. During a recent interview, though, I must tell you, with the multi-talented Nadine Sutherland, we talked about experimenting with different genres of music, collaborating with other artists, as well as exploring new production techniques to develop artist creativity. I think it's of great importance to keep an open mind during the creative process and you must be willing to take risks. What are some of the other genre and artists you have listened to, you would say, within your creative process?
What I can tell is that growing up, there were just a few artists that I loved, and all of them are old school, what you call old school or classical artists.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite persons to listen to is Nat King Cole. One of my other favorite persons to listen to is Dennis Brown, and when I listen to Dennis Brown, the reason why I love Dennis Brown so much is because I heard the influence of Nat King Cole in Dennis Brown's music, in his voice, So Dennis Brown, Nat King Cole are two of my favorite musicians. My mother's favorite musician, so she always played Dennis Brown in the house, and then I learned of Nat King Cole. So these older songs, if I should say, if I should go even back a little bit further, Louis
Armstrong. Uh-huh.
Louis Armstrong.
One of my favorites.
That musician is a powerful musician. I love his creativity too. So it's always been older, vintage music, classical music that I've listened to. I love listening to Bach. I love listening to Chopin. I love listening to Beethoven. These persons, their creativity, the way they put music together, has always inspired me. It has never been that. I'm not saying that the younger artists, Bob too, love Bob, but it has never been that the younger artists or anything that is current has really ever been the greatest part of my inspiration. No, I rarely get any inspiration from new stuff, so I would say that's where my love stems from.
Okay. As a multi-instrumentalist, how much instruments can you play?
I usually tell persons that I play around with everything. I don't know if I play anything. Because they have a saying that well, jack of all trade, master of none.
Yeah.
But then the other day I learned the full saying that it is jack of all trade, master of none, still yet better than a master of one.
Yes.
So, but I play guitars and pianos and drums and bass and at flute and whatever instrument I get. The powerful thing about music with me is that I don't know, but I'll just take up the guitar and I'll just play something without even recognize what I'm playing. My hands will be led to something. I don't think about it. I just take up the guitar. My hands are led to a chord. I play it, and then it's inspiration. Then the whole song comes. Then I hear the horns section. Then I hear the string section, and then I hear the pianos. I just hear it. It just comes, and that is it.
Wow, musical prowess, I tell you. And it shows within your productions as well. Speaking of productions, I'm going to jump to Real Woman. And when you come back, we'll talk about this track and what you have going on right now as well.
All right.
Mother of creation, and why I love her. 'Cause she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, beautiful in mind. Yeah, she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, yeah, but beautiful in mind. She know her purpose and that come first. To a real man that comforts. With her position, no she no ramp. She help guide the future generations like a lamp, yeah. And even when the times get tough, and even when the seas get rough, it's amazing how she's made up. And soft like a cotton, yet hard and tough. A real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, yeah, but beautiful in mind. Yeah, she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, yeah, but beautiful in mind. Yeah, she knows her worth and takes pride in her worth. One in a million, one of a kind. Yeah, she's as real can be. Anyone with eyes can see that she don't need company, and she not give it away easily. She's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, but beautiful in mind. Yeah, she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, but beautiful in mind. Yeah. And you don't have to give her the world, for love is all she needs. Yeah, there ain't no diamonds and pearls that can buy her virtuosity. Well, she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, but beautiful in mind. Yeah, she's a real woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features, but beautiful in mind. A woman, yeah, a real woman.
Yes, a real woman, and we are tuned in with Elishua. I tell you, it's like everything is so different from what we are hearing on the music scene today. Not that there are other artists that are not doing similar work. There are tons of artists that are actually doing great productions just as yourself. I think one of the biggest problems is the radio space. Not pushing out those tracks, because if they're not getting paid to do it, it doesn't get far. And so, as it's the ins and outs of music, the surroundings of it, and the monetary value of it. The artist cannot afford to pay a radio station to to keep playing their tracks so that person know about the great music that's going on. So I find that there's so many things that's actually going wrong, that has gone wrong within the music industry and in terms of highlighting creativity, because there are creative artists out there that are creating awesome material. It's just that it's not being heard across the airwaves. But talk to me about Real Woman. I must tell you, I love that song personally, so I'm gonna say that's my song.
That's your song.
Yeah.
That song was another powerful thing again. That's an inspiration song. I remember it was in the same time in about 2011, 2012. I was in isolation. I was on the same fasting period, and I was a Nazarite. I took a Nazarite vow, and so I was in the hills, and at that time on a Nazarite vow, I was on it for years, so I was celibate. There was no one in my life. I was by myself, and there came to me a strong desire for a wife. But I was saying to myself, what is my wife? What should she be? And because that anything that desire, you have to see it.
Yes.
You have to be able to visualize it, internalize it, and put it together in all of its pieces before you can create it and bring it into reality. So I was there and I was thinking about my wife, and I went. There was this young lady that I saw. She lived a little further up from me, and I liked her energy. So I took up my guitar. I started to pick up my guitar, and I went close to her window.
And you started singing.
I went close to her window, and I started to strum my guitar. And inspiration came. Real Woman. And the idea of the Real Woman started to flow. Margie, I wasn't writing the song. I was just playing my guitar and started to sing. Real Woman of a perfect design, not only with physical features. And at the time, I don't know if I was telling her that is what I want, or I was trying to tell her that this is what she has to be for me to want her to be my wife. I don't know what it was. But all I know is that the entire song from beginning to end was sung one time.
Yes.
I was trying to capture it in my mind so I can remember it, And I was just playing and singing and trying to remember what I was singing, and that was where the entire song came about. And it might sound weird, but it is the truth. Yes. So that is where that song is coming from. It is a song of me designing Real Woman and what she will be, and what she is, and who she is. And I know that it's out of her experiences, her challenges, her struggles, that she is created to. She becomes this person. So this one is for all of the real women.
Okay, I love it. Now, is it safe to say that it is 100% or a higher percentage of the tracks that you write on your personal note, are they from real life experiences, or do you ever have to go into this realm where it is that you envision a track that you have written that's not necessarily about your life story or about your life experience?
Songs come from my own experiences, and songs come from other person's experiences. For instance, I remember this song that I did for an album that I did on an album that I was producing at the time. I was working on the album. There's a song that is called Walk Away. And I was just thinking about Katana and her emotion. I'm not going to talk her business, but I was thinking about her state at the time, and a feeling came over me as if she's in a place right now where she's with somebody, and but the person that she's with might not be providing her with the spiritual covering and the emotional support that she desires. And then an entire song came out of her, the experience that I was feeling for her at the moment, you know. And when I sent her the song, she said to me that, Yasha, I don't know how you wrote this, but this is exactly what I'm going through right now. Marky, I didn't talk to her about it. I was just feeling her energy, and I was trying to connect with her. I was trying to become her and feel how she felt. And then that is how the song came about. So some of it is from my own experiences, and some of it is from experiences that other persons are having. And then the inspiration is there to back it up. And as I say, I don't lean on an external source to create. You know, I don't lean. I don't look for music to be created from a computer or from anybody's speech or anything. It is a divine inspiration I take from, right? But your experiences can come together with the divine inspiration, and I can create something of it.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love it. Wow. Well, I want to dive into your recent releases. I want to dive into your recent releases. So, before we play the track, "Love Them from a Distance," I am, as I've keep saying throughout this interview, I love your productions. But more interestingly, this track right here, "Love from a Distance." Yeah, talk to me about that track, because without listening, or for persons who don't listen, there's so much different ideas that people think when you give a title like that, as to, imagining what the content is. But talk to me about the content and coming up with that track as well.
Alright, so I'm gonna call a few names now in this one. But I was in the Cayman Islands. I was here with a Virgin Corporate of mine. I was spending some time. I had built a studio in the Cayman Islands. I was helping him to produce an album, to produce an EP, sorry. The recording a whole lot of stuff. But after I finished doing the recordings for him and getting them mixed and so forth, I felt so tired of the music industry. I felt drained. And I said to myself, I'm done with music, and this is not something that these are not words that I play around with, but I was really drained and I felt tired of the music industry. And so I told my friend that, I'm done. So I closed on the studio and focused in another place. Anyway, and Tanya Stephen was having a show in the Cayman Islands, and they came up with a friend of mine by the name of CD Master. He's a producer and a disc jockey, a DJ. So they came up, they did the show, and they asked me to come check them. So I went over to their hotel. I was there with CD Master. Tanya Stevens came downstairs. We were in the hotel, and we were just chatting and talking. I was supposed to help to produce a song with CD Master for Tanya, But then the whole thing went, I think, right field. I'm not gonna say left field, because I expected to be producing. So I was expecting myself to be producing something for somebody. But then I found myself in front of the mic, and I found everybody telling me, yes, sure. Elishua, sing that, yes, yeah, me like where you go. And I became the center of attention at the time. I started to do the song,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of the day, I recorded that song. That song, the whole lyrical content is about an experience that I had. I had an experience where I was in cause what I do, I travel, and I try to experience different religious groups. So I was a part of this Hebrew group called the Kahal, and I experienced some very harsh things there, and I learned from it, because a gentleman was there. There's some things that I don't want to say, but there were some leaders in that organization who really expressed some negative, dark energy and attitude towards people and towards myself.
Yeah.
And I was a bit bitter against them at the time when they did it. But then I was walking, and I heard a voice said to me that, why shouldn't I forgive them? And then heard the thing said to me that, why do I think that I should have a monopoly on forgiveness? Why is it that when I do something, I think that I should be forgiven and I want to hold it as if I am the only one that should receive forgiveness, but I don't want to forgive? So then I realize that I have to forgive them also. And so the whole song, that part that is said, love them from a distance, that is where that is coming from. Yeah, it does not mean that I have to go back into their circle or their surroundings or experience the negativity from them again, but it doesn't make sense that I hold envy or anger or bitterness against them. I could still love them, but from a distance. So yeah, that song is birthed from there. Big up yourself, Tanya Stevens. Big up yourself, CD Master, in my host production. You know, thank you very much for being an inspiration at that point in time.
Okay, I'm gonna jump to this track. Love from a Distance. We'll be right back with more. Elishua, go nowhere.
Hypocrites can't look in our face, and he that dwelleth in the secret place. Yeah, 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 yeah. Me say your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. That's why we stay far away and love them from a distance. And if them not return, we love, we tell you we not response. Far away from the Muslims and the Christians and everybody else who filled with hate and segregate. Snake or just snake. Me love how no pretend, but me can see say on no fake. Him a look him friend girl, and her friend man she a brace. Chant Psalm 35 and get them out of your space. Them only come around when them see you elevate, but them can't cut with current like when JPS. Lock off light in our place. Them can't stop the food when you are putting on my plate. So tell the hypocrites them open up them ears. Your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Quick to boom your face and quick to salute. Get to find out, said them never rate the youth. Them want empty your pockets, but a dirty set of brutes. And they tell you that they love you, but you'll never see the fruits. A vampire, then your energy, them want for use. Tell them they get a youth, them not go take no more of them abuse. 8 time them a spoon and fork, 9 time them a knife. Stab you in your back and take your life. Hypocrites them a talk about Christ, but them a the devil dressed up in a disguise. They say your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out, said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. That's why we stay far away and love them from a distance. And if them not return, we love, we tell you we not response. Far away from the Muslims and the Christians and everybody else who filled with hate and segregate. Snake or just snake. Me love how no pretend, but me can see say on no fake. Him a look him friend girl, and her friend man she a brace. Chant Psalm 35 and get them out of your space. Them only come around when them.
Yes, yes, yes. I tell you, love them from a distance, and powerful words, powerful words. But I must say, so that's when I talk about the relevance of this creative music that's just sitting in the wayside there, and the music that you're pushed to listen to is nothing compared to tracks like this as well. And I think you have just shown us what a creative does, a master creator does, just to be in the moment and just create something that's substantial, such as this as well. But I must ask, what's the local reception like local and even international? What's the reception like on this track?
The reception has been really good.
Awesome.
Persons are really appreciating the production and the message behind the music. We've done several radio shows with this one already, and it's being strongly promoted. So what I'm seeing is track so far. I mean, the more and I know that the more we get it into the ears of the people, is the more love and respect, it will be given. But we're receiving a lot of love thus far for this one, you know.
Wow. Well, it's reality, you know. It's there's no cutting corners here. It's a very real song. No, nobody can deny the musical artistry that's surrounding this right there. And as I said, it's a master of creativity, where it is that you're in your element. I find that even within, you know, some of the tracks that are created, when you create like tracks on the go, sometimes they are so much more substantial than you sitting down and you're overthinking the process. That's the art of creativity as well. Yeah.
I can tell you that. I can tell anyone that sometimes knowledge can be an impediment. Sometimes your knowledge can get in the way of your creativity.
That's true.
That is why a lot of persons who don't know end up doing so much more than persons who know. You know, sometimes you have to let go of what you know to allow yourself to be guided spiritually, emotionally, musically.
Creative risk. Yes. Now, for the listening audience who will listen to this interview, who don't know about, it was the first time hearing about Elishua and your works, as you know, and would like to see you in performance outside of the interview space. Do you have anything planned for next year in terms of hitting the stage?
Yes, man. I've already started. I've done several local shows, and for next year, I'm planning for a Europe tour. Going to be several places in Europe. I was supposed to be in Africa, but the timing it was too short notice, so I couldn't make that trip. But we're also looking for an African tour next year. Also, we're going to be doing Jamaica and shows next year, starting out in the early part of next year, from spring, from in March, April, we're going to be starting the journey. So we've already released this song, and it is doing much in the music scene as we speak, and we have several other tracks that are going to be released, some from me and some from other companies that I've worked close with. So it's going to be massive next year. So
I could open up for you on the circuit.
Big artists like yourself, Empress Rose, talk about.
I could open up for you. I'm telling you, it would be great.
Yeah, man, that would be good.
Well, I must tell you, I'm quite excited to see what you have in store in terms of music, music production vault for 2025. Can you share anything about the music production?
What I can say to you is that we spoke at once, and you were asking me about an album, and I've been thinking about it. I have a lot of work.
Yes.
And I think I know that I can put an album together, but one of the most important things where albums are concerned, because I don't see anybody doing this, I just believe that an album should be done with a storyline, or it has to have something linked to it. People just bring a collection of songs together and say it's an album, but it has no direction. I don't like working like that. But I have songs that have a similar direction that I could put together and create an album and put it together. So I'm looking towards that. I'm not sharing the fullness yet, but you might be able to look out for that. I'll give you the rest of the information soon.
I love it. I tell you. Well, it has been a pleasure covering, just about, a bit of you starting out in the business, and especially focus on the creativity, because I think you are a master creator at what you do, and you do it very well. And, the productions speak volume as well. We're going to vibe out, of course, with your latest, Love Them From a Distance, and we'll return with my outro. So sit tight.
Hypocrites can't look in our face, and he that dwelleth in the secret place. Yeah. Me say your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Now for them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. That's why we stay far away and love them from a distance. And if them not return, we love, we tell you we not response. Far away from the Muslims and the Christians and everybody else who filled with hate and segregate. Snake or just snake. Me love how no pretend, but me can see say how no fake. Him a look him friend girl, and her friend man she a brace. Chant Psalm 35 and get them out of your space. Cause them only come around when them see you elevate. But them can't cut with current like when JPS lock off lights in our place. Them can't stop the food when you are putting on my plate. So tell the hypocrites them open up them ears. Your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Quick to boom your face and quick to salute. Get to find out said them never rate the youth. Them want empty your pockets but a dirty set of brutes. And they tell you that they love you but you never see the fruits. A vampire then your energy them want for use. Tell them they get to use them now go take no more of them abuse. Daytime them a spoon and fork, night time them a knife. Stab you in your back and take your life. Hypocrites them a talk about Christ, but them are the devil dressed up in a disguise. Your clothes can't clean.
Yes. I love them from a distance. Of course, it is that we just completed our interview with Elishua. And of course, this is Music Connect Africa, a hub for global music industry news and insights, where each episode we take a look into the history of our entrepreneurial professionals who are the driving force behind the scenes. Elishua's excellence is unmatched, as I've said, and he doesn't confine himself to any specific genre of music. However, his catalog of unreleased production contains a mixture of pop, Afro-pop, reggae, trap, dancehall, and acoustic recordings. I want you guys to look out for him across the airwaves as well. But there's no time like the present to go in and listen to Love Them From a Distance and his other recordings. Of course, it is that we will always welcome everyone to go in, check out his works, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to us as well as you can look him up across social media platforms to call for Yasha Elishua, or you can just type in Elishua and you will be able to find him as well. Do check him out and let us know what your thoughts. Again, we are Music Connect Africa. It gives me great pleasure to highlight the players who exercise tenacity, drive, and who create smooth operative systems for our music arts and entertainment industries. Until next time, I will see you across the airwaves. Keep it locked.
Me say your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. That's why we stay far away and love them from a distance. And if them not return, we love, we tell you we not response. Far away from the Muslims and the Christians and everybody else who filled with hate and segregate. Snake or just snake. Me love how no pretend, but me can see say how no fake. Him a look him friend girl, and her friend man she a brace. Chant Psalm 35 and get them out of your space. Cause them only come around when them see you elevate, but them can't cut with current like when JPS lock off lights in our place. Them can't stop the food when you are putting on my plate. So tell the hypocrites them open up them ears. Your clothes can't clean and your heart don't clean. Dirty heart can't stand up in the ways of the king. Enough of them said them straight, find out said them lean. Dirty heart will never see the face of the king. Clothes can't clean.